3 weeks ago, a billionaire walked into the streets disguised as a homeless man. No security. No money. No identity. He wanted to answer one question. Who truly cares about you when you have nothing? What he experienced next changed his life forever. One woman looked at him and immediately covered her nose. She told him to get off a public bench because he was ruining the view. She called him worthless, invisible, less than human. But just a few days later, everything shifted. Another woman saw the same man. Same torn clothes. Same empty hands. But instead of pushing him away, she gave him food. She gave him a place to sit. And on the coldest day of the week, she gave him her last meal. What happened next didn't just shock him. It shocked an entire room full of the most powerful people in the city. And by the end of this story, someone would be exposed, and someone's life would change forever. Before I tell you what happened next, take a second to subscribe to the channel. Because stories like this, they don't just entertain you. They change the way you see people. And trust me, by the end of this one, you're going to think twice before judging anyone ever again. Now, let's go back to where it all started. Because this story didn't begin on the streets. It began at the very top. The man you just saw, the one sitting on the sidewalk, ignored by everyone, wasn't always invisible. Just a few weeks earlier, he was one of the most powerful men in the city. A billionaire. A name that opened doors. A man surrounded by people, but somehow completely alone. He had everything money could buy. Luxury cars. A penthouse overlooking the skyline. A business empire that stretched across countries. But there was one thing he didn't have. Something money had never been able to give him. Real love. Real loyalty. Real people. And that was about to become his biggest test. His name was Adrian Cole. At just 38 years old, he had built a fortune most people could only dream of. His tech company operated in over 10 countries. His net worth crossed billions. Magazines called him a genius. Investors called him unstoppable. But behind the success, there was a truth no one ever saw. Adrian Cole was completely alone. His first girlfriend left him when his startup was struggling. She looked him in the eyes and said, "I can't build a future with someone who has nothing." Years later, when he finally made it, she came back. He didn't even open her message. Then came the second one. She stayed through the success, but not for him. She loved the lifestyle, the luxury trips, the cameras, the attention. Behind closed doors, she barely even spoke to him. And the day he caught her texting someone else, she didn't even deny it. "You're never around anyway," she said. That was the moment something inside him shut down. But it wasn't just relationships. His business partners, the people he trusted with everything, betrayed him too. One tried to secretly take ownership of his company. Another leaked confidential deals to competitors. Even his own cousin, someone he helped from nothing, ended up suing him for millions. By the time Adrian reached the top, he had money, power, influence, but trust. He had none left. And yet, it wasn't always like this. He grew up in a small, humble home, where money was scarce, but love was not. His father used to say, "Love isn't what people say when the world is watching. It's what they do when no one is looking." Back then, Adrian believed that. But somewhere along the way, he stopped seeing it. And deep down, he started wondering if it even existed anymore. One night, everything changed. Adrian was sitting alone in his penthouse, staring out at the city lights below. The same city that admired him, but didn't know him. His phone rang. It was his mother. He hadn't spoken to her in weeks. "Adrian, my son," she said softly. "How are you, really?" "I'm fine, Mom," he replied. "Business is great." There was a pause. "I didn't ask about business," she said. "I asked about you." Silence filled the room. Then she asked him something he wasn't ready for. "When was the last time someone cared for you without wanting something in return?" Adrian didn't answer. Because he couldn't. Every smile he had seen, every kind gesture, every relationship. It all came with conditions. "Your father used to say something," she continued. "Do you remember?" Adrian closed his eyes. "Love is what people do when no one is looking." "Exactly," she said. Then came the question that changed everything. "Tell me, my son, who truly cares about you when you have nothing?" The call ended, but that question didn't. It stayed with him all night. By morning, Adrian had made a decision. If he wanted the truth, he had to lose everything first. No money, no name, no power. For the next 30 days, he would disappear and live as a poor man. The next morning, Adrian disappeared. No announcements, no social media, no trace. He walked into a small thrift store on the edge of the city and bought the cheapest clothes he could find. Worn-out jeans with torn knees, a faded t-shirt that barely fit, old sneakers, stained and falling apart. He stopped shaving, let his beard grow rough and uneven. Then he looked in the mirror. The billionaire was gone. Standing in his place was a man the world would never notice. He left his penthouse through the back exit, avoiding the lobby, the cameras, the attention. For the first time in years, no driver was waiting for him. No one opened doors. He stepped onto the street, and just like that, everything changed. People walked past him without a second glance. No smiles, no eye contact, no acknowledgement. It was like he didn't exist. In just a few hours, Adrian had lost something more powerful than money. He had lost his identity. He had become invisible, and his experiment had officially begun. On his third day, Adrian met her, the kind of person who would define everything that was wrong with the world he used to live in. Her name was Vanessa Clark. He was sitting quietly on a public bench, exhausted, hungry, just watching people pass by. That's when a white luxury car pulled up nearby. Vanessa stepped out. Perfect hair, designer clothes, expensive heels clicking against the pavement. The kind of woman people noticed the moment she walked in. She glanced at Adrian and immediately frowned. "Excuse me," she said sharply. "You can't sit here." Adrian looked up, confused. "Why not?" "Because this is a nice area," she replied. "You're making it look bad." The words hit harder than he expected. "I'm just sitting," he said quietly. She rolled her eyes. "Well, go sit somewhere else. There are shelters for people like you." People nearby heard it, but no one said a word. Adrian slowly stood up and walked away. But that wasn't the last time he saw her. A few days later, it got worse. He was standing near a small food stall, counting the few coins he had left. Vanessa walked by with her friends, laughing loudly. She glanced at him, then smirked. "See," she said to them, "that's exactly why I work hard, so I never end up like that." Her friends laughed. Adrian said nothing. He just stood there, invisible again. Then came the worst moment. An elderly woman dropped her grocery bags near the sidewalk. Adrian rushed to help her pick them up. Before he could even stand, Vanessa's voice cut through the air. "Hey, someone call security." Everyone turned. "This man is trying to steal from her." The old woman looked confused. "No, he's helping me." But the damage was already done. People were staring, whispering, judging. Security arrived. After a tense moment, they let Adrian go. But Vanessa, she didn't apologize. She simply turned and walked away, like nothing had happened. And in that moment, Adrian realized something painful. Some people don't just ignore you when you have nothing. They treat you like you don't deserve to exist at all. 2 weeks into his experiment, just when Adrian had started to lose hope in people, he met her. It wasn't in a fancy part of the city, not in a place filled with luxury or status. It was on a small street corner, where the smell of freshly cooked food filled the air. A simple food stand stood there. A folding table, a small canopy, and a few large pots of hot meals. And behind it was her. Her name was Maya. No designer clothes. No makeup. No attention-seeking presence. Just a calm face, and kind eyes that noticed things others ignored. Adrian stood at a distance, watching. His stomach growled. He hadn't eaten properly in over a day. He turned to leave. "Hey," she called out. He froze. She was looking directly at him. "You've been standing there for a while," she said gently. "Are you hungry?" Adrian hesitated. "I don't have any money." She smiled. "I didn't ask if you had money." She pointed to a small plastic chair. "Come, sit." Slowly, he walked over and sat down. Within seconds, she placed a full plate in front of him. Warm rice, fresh vegetables, a piece of chicken. Adrian stared at it. "I can't pay for this," he said. "You don't have to," she replied. "You just have to eat, before it gets cold." He picked up the food, and the moment he took the first bite, something changed. It didn't just taste good. It felt different, like care, like warmth, like something he hadn't experienced in years. When he finished, she handed him a bottle of water. "Better?" she asked. He nodded. "Thank you. You didn't have to do that." She shrugged lightly. "My mother used to say, if someone is hungry, that's life asking you a question. And feeding them is your answer." Adrian looked at her, really looked this time. "Why are you doing this?" he asked. "Because you needed it," she said simply. No expectations. No judgment. No hidden motive. Just kindness. And that was only the beginning. Adrian started coming back. Every single day. Not just for the food, but for her. He learned that Maya was a single mother, raising her young son on her own. She woke up before sunrise, worked long hours at the stand, and barely made enough to get by. Some days, she skipped meals herself, just so her child could eat more. And yet, she smiled. She laughed. She treated every customer with the same warmth. Day by day, conversation by conversation, Adrian felt something he hadn't felt in years. Not admiration, not attraction, but something far more rare. Genuine human connection. And for the first time since this journey began, he stopped feeling invisible. On the 21st day, everything changed. It was colder than usual. The kind of day where fewer people came out, and business slowed down. Adrian arrived at the food stand, and immediately noticed something. The pots were almost empty. Maya looked tired. More than usual. "Slow day?" he asked. She nodded slightly. "Yeah, not many customers today." Adrian's eyes moved to the table. There was only one plate of food left. Just one. "Is that for a customer?" he asked. Maya paused, then shook her head. "That's my dinner." Adrian looked at her, then at the plate, then back at her. Before he could say anything, she picked it up and held it out to him. "Here," she said softly. "Take it." Adrian froze. "No, that's your food," he said. "You haven't eaten." "And you have," she replied gently. He didn't answer, because she was right. "I'm not taking your last meal," he said. Maya stepped closer, her voice calm but firm. "Listen to me," she said. "I've eaten a little today. You haven't." She placed the plate in his hands. "A hungry person needs it more." Adrian's hands began to tremble. He looked down at the food, then back at her. She wasn't pretending. She wasn't hesitating. She was giving him everything she had, without thinking twice. And in that moment, something inside him broke. Not quietly, not gently. He broke down. Tears filled his eyes, then spilled over. He tried to hold it in, but he couldn't. This man, who had built empires, who had faced billion-dollar deals without fear, was now sitting on a plastic chair, crying over a plate of food. Maya didn't ask questions. She didn't look confused. She simply stepped forward and wrapped her arms around him. "It's okay," she whispered. "You're not alone." And those 3 words meant more to him than everything he had ever owned. That night, Adrian couldn't sleep. He sat alone, replaying everything in his mind. The way she spoke, the way she gave, the way she didn't expect anything in return. But he needed to be sure. Not just kind to him, but kind to everyone. So the next few days, he watched closely. From a distance, without saying much, he saw a young boy walk up to the stand, clearly hungry, clearly broke. Maya didn't ask questions. She simply smiled and gave him a full plate. Another day, an elderly man struggled to carry his bags across the street. Maya left her stand, ran over, and helped him without hesitation. No cameras, no attention, no reward, just kindness, over and over again. That's when Adrian knew. This wasn't an act. This wasn't temporary. This was who she was. And for the first time in years, he felt something he thought he had lost forever. Trust. He took a deep breath and made his decision. It was time. Time to tell her the truth. 3 days later, the entire city gathered for one event. A luxury charity gala. Hundreds of powerful guests. Business leaders, celebrities, influencers, all in one room. No one knew who the main donor was. The man who had quietly given millions had always stayed anonymous. Until tonight. The ballroom was glowing with lights, cameras flashing, voices buzzing with curiosity. And then, she walked in. Maya. But not the Maya anyone expected. She wore an elegant gown, simple, yet stunning. Her hair styled beautifully, her presence calm and confident. People turned. Whispers spread across the room. Who is she? And right beside her was Adrian. Not in torn clothes this time, but in a perfectly tailored suit, clean, sharp, unrecognizable from the man on the street. Then the announcement came. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our guest of honor, Adrian Cole. The room exploded into applause. But one person didn't clap. Vanessa. She froze. Her face drained of color as she stared at the stage. The same man she had insulted, the same man she called worthless, was now standing under the spotlight. Adrian stepped forward and looked directly at her. Then he spoke. 3 weeks ago, I became invisible. The room fell silent. I had nothing, and I saw exactly how people treat you when you have nothing. He paused, then turned toward Maya. But one person saw me anyway. The spotlight shifted to her. And in that moment, everything changed. After that night, everything changed. The story spread across the city, then across the world. But Adrian didn't chase attention. He chose something far more important. He stayed with the woman who had given him everything when he had nothing. And together, they built a life not based on money, but on something real. Because in the end, he realized something most people never do. True wealth isn't measured by what you own, but by how you treat others. And sometimes, the people who have the least are the ones who give the most.